Hi, I'm Mary.
And I'm Katie, and this is the Housewife Did It.
Like pop culture edition.
uh
Um, if you like our
huh.
podcast, you could like and subscribe and follow and tell your friends if they would like it
Mhm.
to do the same. Um, share it. We have all of our Halloween merch out. They're flying off the shelves between me and our mother. It just sells left and right.
What did Mom
Um,
buy?
she bought um I don't remember. It was one that I was like interesting choice.
This is the
Um
place.
yeah, I was like, "Oh, that's weird." Like I made them all. No offense to me. We also have
Mhm.
this one up in the shop.
Mhm.
You wouldn't last an hour in the asylum where they raised me. Now I feel um inspired to make a Domingo shirt of some sort.
Mhm. Fair. We'll get there.
Yeah, fully touching Domingo. Um, but yeah, that's like it for
Mhm.
like the like.
Intro.
Just kidding. Um, okay, but truly I can't not do that.
Yeah.
I don't even notice it. So
Yeah. I thought that today's episode was going to be nothing. I thought,
right,
we have no content. It's just a Love is Blind deep dive. Ha ha.
yeah.
We have
I saw your
so
title and
much
I was like,
content. Well, it's still a Love is Blind deep dive, but
but there's so
we
much
have a
more.
lot before that too. So
Yeah.
buckle in.
Yes. Um, Let me start by saying I am not I'm not going to lie to you people. I am not going to pretend like I was ride or die for Liam Payne until the very end.
Hmm.
In the recent years he has done and said some things that have upset me.
Hmm.
However, I
This is
am
tragic.
forever a One Direction girly at heart.
Hmm.
He has a 7-year-old son,
Hmm.
so it is tragic that Liam Payne of One Direction has passed away. He was 31.
Hmm.
Um, the autopsy reports say that he fell from a 3-story balcony in his hotel in Buenos Aires. He was in Argentina to see Niall Horan's show there for his the show tour, and they said like in the autopsy report that all of the injuries they found, like there were like he had pretty severe injuries, but they were all consistent with a fall from
Hmm.
a balcony. So there is there are other things that were found in his
We're
hotel
still
room.
awaiting the
Um,
toxicology report. Is that right?
yes,
Okay.
I think so. So there could be other like contributing factors to the fall, but they feel pretty confident based on how they found him that that's what happened. This does come after he's received some negative press about his behavior. One, people were kind of like more like making fun of him for his behavior at the Nile Horan concert because he was like signing things and like taking selfies with fans. I think that's kind of how celebrities
Hmm.
interact with people at all kinds of concerts. Like we see every famous person in the world trading friendships bracelets at Taylor Swift's concerts and taking pictures. But people were saying that it was like cringy because it was Niall's show and not his. Whatever. But also a few days ago, his ex fiance Maya Henry um claimed that part of the reason he broke up with her was because he had asked her to get a private at home abortion and she did not want to.
Hmm.
From my understanding, Maya Henry is not pregnant.
You don't think she meant with Bear?
No, Bear's not her child.
Oh. Okay.
Bear's mom is Cheryl Cole.
Oh. Okay.
So that's why I'm curious, like, what happened, because I don't know her to be pregnant, and like, um, unless she had a baby and lost it. I don't know, but
Well, then now I'm confused. Um, then I guess yeah, okay. This was Maya Henry then. Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like also she had, I don't know when she did it, but a podcast, maybe the same one you're talking about, had aired 3 days before or 2 days before
mhm,
his death, which is just like incredibly bad timing. Um, where she was essentially like the point, I think, though this is not what she said, is that essentially he would like threaten suicide
mhm,
when he wanted her to do something.
mhm,
She just said like he played with death a lot. He would tell me like I'm not going to be around long, or like, I guess you just like won't have me around anymore. Um and I think since then, maybe it was not her, maybe it was Cheryl Cole, but I think people are obviously saying like let's not like defame him in his
mhm,
death. Um but I think that's like so unfortunate because now like this woman who was just like sharing her
mhm.
truth, her words are now being used to like
Yeah,
shit on this man. And like I'm sure
yeah,
she has like a lot of regrets about that, but it's also
yeah,
like those are true things that
yeah.
she, I don't know.
And I think that's like kind of why I wanted to like open it the way I did, because like
Mhm.
I do think some of the things he said about Harry Styles, some of the things he said about his past girlfriends are like gross.
Mhm.
But like that doesn't
But you
like
deserve to
take
like
away
be
from like
heard.
how sad that is that he passed away. And then I'm gonna the next part. But what I was gonna say is he had opened up in recent years about struggling with a drinking problem and a drug use problem when One Direction was still together. Liam was very open about the fact that he did not drink because he has one kidney,
Mm.
and from like something in his childhood, he's just kind of for most of his life had one kidney, and so he had said like he couldn't drink because it was like just something that was not like healthy for him. And then as he got older, he said that he like went to the doctor and they said like, oh, like you could drink in like moderation. And so then he started drinking a little bit, but he was never really into it because he had like kind of gone so long without it. And some people are still saying like, oh, like he was never he's that's so like crazy how like everything happened because he doesn't drink because of his kidney. And I was like, no, like he does drink. I like
Mhm.
when the band was still together, he opened up about starting to drink. But secondly, he has like there's videos of him on podcasts talking about struggling with drinking.
Mhm.
And that it kind of reminded me of like Matthew Perry in
Mhm.
like last we heard those things weren't really issues anymore, but like
They
maybe they
happen.
were.
Mhm.
Um he had posted pictures with his new girlfriend shortly before his fall, but she had actually already left
Mhm.
Argentina
I
at
know.
the
I was
time.
getting so
um
confused about this.
I don't know
He's
if it was
probably
like
just posting
just
them
like
late.
posting from their trip.
Yeah.
um I I guess because he's in the news, all of her TikToks with him are now like coming through on people's For You pages, and people keep commenting and they're like, worst time for this to come up on my For You page. But they seemed really happy together. But
Mhm.
anyway, TMZ posted photos of his body
Mhm.
from the scene of his death and then quickly removed them. Of course, they have since reposted not the pictures with his body in them, but the pictures of the balcony that he fell on and the ambulance arriving and the tint over his body as they're kind of investigating things. They have
Yeah.
reshared those photos.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was them that shared the hotel room photos, but there are photos of his hotel
Yeah.
room that show a smashed TV
Hmm.
and what looked like hard drug paraphernalia.
Yeah.
Um Allegedly, and actually this isn't alleged anymore because we have the 911 call. Um so people in the hotel reported a like aggressive and intoxicated man like destroying his room, screaming. And then we have now gotten the 911 call from hotel staff. It has been released where they said it's not in English, but like the
Hmm.
translation at least says that they said like when he's conscious, he's destroying the room, which sounds to me like he's like in and out of
Yeah.
consciousness. But they were like, please get here with police and an ambulance. Like we're afraid this person is going to hurt himself. He is like very under some sort of influence.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
does not sound
I
like a good ending at
Yeah.
all.
There's a lot of um people saying that it's like a suspicious death,
Hmm.
either that it was a suicide or that someone did something to him.
Right.
I don't know. Truthfully, Sammy asked me who I would have expected to be the first to pass away from One Direction, and I told him I it did not necessarily surprise me that it was Liam.
Hmm.
Just kind of like
Maybe not
how
right now, but eventually.
yeah, like how the yeah, but like how the years have played out for him. Like if I had to
Hmm.
think like who in One Direction would die at the age of 31,
Hmm.
I would maybe pick him. Um, but also I have seen, and this is going to lead us into the next thing. I have
Me, I was
seen
gonna say this.
I have seen people speculating a connection between this and Diddy.
Hmm.
Um, I also have seen people point out that his son's mother, Cheryl Cole, when they met, Liam was 14
Hmm.
and Cheryl Cole was not. She was like 30. Um, that's obviously not when they had a baby,
Hmm.
but people find it odd that they then went on to date and they have a son together. Um, but so people are wondering if there is like either like some like another like he's a victim of something
Hmm.
or he is like a victim turned perpetrator of something and this is him kind of like getting ahead of that or like
Okay, what do you mean by that?
not having to deal with like if he's guilty of something,
Oh,
people are
sure,
saying like now he doesn't have to deal with it.
sure.
I have not seen anything that makes me believe Liam Payne has ever been to a Diddy party.
There's a video going around of him talking about some sort of event. I don't know if it is a Diddy party or just something he was at with Diddy, but he's like naming people. He's like, and Leonardo DiCaprio is there, and he's like saying the names of all these celebrities, and
Okay.
people say like, "Oh no, he outed all these people. Like now they're after him."
Okay.
Um, so
I
yeah.
mean, I don't know. I will say also that what I find something that I find interesting is the drug paraphernalia that was found in his room was like it like heroin,
Hmm.
like crack cocaine vibes. Um
Okay.
yeah, that's what they say in New Girl.
Hmm.
Um when
Yeah.
he did open up about his drinking and drug abuse problem, those are not the kinds of drugs he was talking about. And so again, like are you going to go on air and say like I have a problem with heroin?
Maybe not.
Probably not. Maybe not, especially when you have like a 4-year-old son at home at the time.
Hmm.
Um, but it is interesting to me that like those are the drugs that were found and like historically he hasn't ever used drugs like that,
Mm-hmm.
to anyone's knowledge. But also, though, I could see a young Liam Payne wanting to maybe cozy up to Diddy because he was like very like Justin Bieber influenced.
Mm-hmm.
He was a big like Justin Bieber fan. Like so I could see him like kind of wanting to
Yeah.
like follow in those footsteps.
Yeah.
I hope not.
Yeah.
But um all four members of One Direction have now said something about it. Um the girl that Liam Payne was dating when he went on the X Factor and joined One Direction has made a statement. 5 Seconds of Summer, Ed Sheeran, Rita Ora, Harry Styles' mom, and his sister. Um, Everyone has like opened up about how tragic it is, and I just saw before we logged on,
Kate Cassidy.
Zayn.
Oh.
Oh, Zayn pushed back the start of his tour date.
Oh.
It was supposed to start like now. He's pushed it back to January because he said he
Nice.
needs some time.
Yeah.
And I think part of it, from what I've heard, was Zayn and Liam didn't really get along, especially toward the end. And so I think it's just kind of hitting him hard that like
He
everyone
can't
else,
fix that.
yeah, everyone else has reconciled. Like Niall saw him like 2 days before,
Mm-hmm.
and Harry and him had a conversation after he said those things about him. Louis said that they talked like almost daily, and so
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's kind of hit Zayn harder.
Yeah. Yeah. So we will have to see. I mean, I think there are like options here, right? That like,
Yeah,
could it be like a Matthew Perry situation where like he's just being fed things
yeah,
that ultimately led to his demise?
right.
Is it possible it wasn't like a planned out intentional suicide, but he just had so
Yeah,
much, like he was just
yeah.
so incapacitated that he made a decision he wouldn't normally make?
And like
Could
truthfully,
it
people
be an
have been
accident?
talking shit about him for years.
Yeah.
Like I I hope that hasn't like gotten to him, but
Mhm.
like the truthfully, like amongst the five of them, I would say he was like bottom of the totem pole.
Mhm.
I think him, Louis, and Zayn,
Mhm.
probably Liam more so though. The bottom of the totem pole of like who is the most
Yeah.
famous. And
Yeah.
so when he said some not so nice things about Harry Styles, like that's gonna
Yeah.
get you got, like in
Yeah.
this community, everyone who is a One Direction girl gravitated toward pretty much being a Harry Styles girl,
Yeah.
and like you can't come for him that way.
Yeah.
And so, and I think that just since then, more and more things that he's like said carelessly, that people are like, okay, like come on.
I
Um,
also think that like a huge option, and like this is the unfortunate part, I mean, all of it, but the unfortunate part about when people die by suicide or
mhm.
seemingly die by suicide is that like you can't know their intentions. And I
Yeah,
think that um not to like place blame or anything, but I think that it's also a possibility that like if this is something that he has a pattern of doing, which is like threatening kind of reckless behavior, he
hmm,
could have been acting recklessly for attention,
yeah,
and then it just ended incredibly tragically.
yeah,
So, but I think that like the point kind of is like you said, that it isn't just like so out of left field.
yeah,
When you like look at his life, I think
hmm,
that it's like understandable that either an accident or a mental health crisis or a murder, a P Diddy murder,
yeah.
could have happened. um
Everything's a P Diddy murder nowadays.
exactly. So
My final thought
instantly it's P Diddy.
the thing he had said about Harry was that because of how Harry dressed, um, that he would not allow his son around him. And they spoke about it, and he said that he apologized and like they worked it out. And when Harry posted about Liam passing away, he said, "I will of course do anything that his family needs for Bear, and be there to support him. And like Louis said, like I will be Bear's uncle if he needs it. And like all of their posts kind of ended with like whatever he needs for his son. But I think that's like especially big of Harry to say like, I know like he said some shit, but like bottom line, like I
Whatever
care about
agreement
this
they
man,
came to.
and
Yeah.
like I care about his family.
Yeah. Yeah. So on to P. Diddy things. P. Diddy's trial has been set for May of 2025. There is a podcast out by the Daily Mail that is solely focused on this case, so that might be
Mhm.
worth a listen. They do some pretty good like investigative journalism
Hulu has
podcast.
something. I think
I
that
think it's
from like like Nightline or one of
yeah,
those like 48 hours type thing.
yeah. Of the 120 people that are alleging abuse by Diddy, currently 25 of them are minors, including, I believe, the youngest is a 9-year-old boy. People are saying that it was common at his parties for drinks to be spiked with horse tranquilizers, and that a lot of people knew that their drinks had drugs in them, but that they also knew that if they didn't drink them, they would be kicked out. Which, like, on the surface, you're like, okay, I'll just leave.
Yeah.
Goodbye. But
What
then
happened?
you get killed.
Yeah. What happened to a good old fashioned roofie? Like
Yeah.
horse tranquilizers?
Yeah.
You're gonna kill someone.
Yeah. Maybe that's the
Diddy is not afraid to kill someone.
goal.
On Dancing with the Stars hair metal night, they've had a guest judge for like 3 weeks now, and their guest judge on this night was Gene Simmons, and it was a hot ass mess. Sammy was pissed because he kept saying that the songs were not hair metal; they were just rock songs. Literally like a speck of dust in the realm of how that night went. So first, he made a comment about the physical appearance, attractiveness, body of almost every single woman on the dance floor. Notably, not Alona, not Phaedra. I think he did say that Jin was beautiful. He said that Whitney was one of the most beautiful women on the planet. He talked about how hot Brooks was. It was a lot. Then he gave Brooks and Gleb a 10 after Brooks's pole dancing routine during their dance. The other judges gave them an 8. So like it was a good dance. They did good, but certainly not
perfect.
Yeah, certainly not what others would consider a 10. And also it's early in the year. And he had locked in at a 9 and then changed his mind. So he had locked in a 9, and then they were doing the scores, and he said, well, I had put a 9, but I'm going to give it a 10. And then they had to like pause so that they could adjust the scores to fix it. He gave Jin a lower score than the other judges, and then he gave Phaedra a 5 when the other judges gave her 7s. Phaedra's doing well. Like, and somebody said, like, it wasn't her best dance, but it certainly wasn't a 5. And then, and so when he said it, her and her partner is Max Jamerkovsky. They were both like, like, and everyone was like, what the hell? And then afterwards on the dance floor, she was interviewed, and she asked why she thought he scored her so low, and she said, I think he must not like short black women. And then Max said he likes tall black women, and they said,
nice,
yeah,
save, Max.
Yeah, well, and Chandler he did score fairly. So basically, the idea is that he seemed to score people based on how hot he thought they were. And he didn't think Phaedra was hot. You know? Ilona, that was the night that Ilona said, I've been better, Carrie. And so, like, she had messed up her dance, and so I don't think we got a full picture of how low he would have scored her had she not messed up the dance. You know, I think they all gave her a 6. Um, but I do wonder.
Just she messed up and still got higher than Phaedra.
Yes, she she missed a step at like 3 different times in the dance, and then she was sobbing. It was very sad. But this week she's gonna do surface pressure. Pressure, drip, drip, drip. Okay. Anyway, so in conclusion, Gene Simmons is racist. Phaedra Parks said what she needed to say with her whole chest. I have no notes for her. Also, though, in Dancing with the Stars news, Brooks and Gleb. If you think they're not dating at this point, you're living on an island. They're like, well, on the show they're like, oh my god, like no, like we're professionals, like we are just.
They're literally kissing at the tattoo place.
Yeah, stop lying. They were seen getting tattoos together, and Gleb actually gave Brooks her tattoo himself on her coochie.
Oh. But then they got sent home.
Yeah, they did.
They were shocked.
She said when they asked her afterwards, they said, you look really shocked, and she said I had just said, like, when it was down to the final 3, I said, imagine if it's us. And so then when it was, I was like, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that. But they were like, what are y'all thinking? And they were like, oh, like, it's okay, like, we formed like a great relationship, and like I had a great partner. And Gleb was like, I love her. I was like,
we know.
Yeah, you better not be tattooing her coochie without love.
Yeah. Sad news. Kat Stickler and Jason Tardik broke up. She has had to post a few things addressing people's concerns that she introduced Jason to her daughter, and now they've broken up. So I guess she's like required to stay with everyone she dates forever.
Right. Well, and she said I introduced my daughter to my friends' husbands. I introduced my daughter to my male friends. Like, she can know adults and understand that relationships like ebb and flow.
Yeah, like the fact that she had to do a video saying like, hey, I act in my daughter's best interest is like a little ridiculous. Right. Like, y'all need to leave her alone.
I had said not a lot in the way of the Golden Bachelorette, but then I watched the Golden Bachelorette. Oh. And I was wrong. I thought nothing interesting could have happened because I didn't talk about it. Nope, wrong. So, first of all, I love this decision Joan made. She was down to 7 guys, and she said that she was not going to give roses out on any of the dates. She was going to save all of the roses for the rose ceremony so that she could take the full week to process everything that had happened. And like, also, like, she has like a one-on-one at the start of the week and then one at the end of the week. Like, if she gives out 2 roses at the start of the week and then the one at the end of the week goes even better, like, you know. Yeah. And so I think that was a great decision. She went on some dates, you know, she did her thing, chicken wing. She had a one-on-one with Kelsey's dad. Yay, we love him. He did not talk much. Also, like, she was like, he's very shy, he's very quiet. I was like, the man who dressed up in a shark suit and like wrestled with you, shy? Okay. Interesting. But so they had their date, and she was saying that like part of it was that she felt like they were kind of the furthest behind anyway, because he had been so quiet, and she wanted him to open up, and he didn't really. Until Jesse forced them to go on a scavenger hunt where they had to answer questions about themselves, and then he had to open up a little bit. And so she pulled him aside the next day and told him that she was gonna send him home. She told him like she like loved him, he was a great guy, and like that she like really respects him, but that it just wasn't there yet, and that she wanted to like move forward with people who that it was already there. He also had been like crying all week because he missed his wife, and then he saw a hummingbird, and he thought that the hummingbird was his wife because when they were married, she had a lot of hummingbird feeders, and she would sit with her hand out like this and with the sugar, and let the hummingbirds like land on her and like drink from her hand. And he was like saying that he was feeling really like, oh, I don't know if I'm making the right choice being here. I don't know if this is for me. And then he saw the hummingbird, and he like went to the other guys, and he was crying, and he was like, she was telling me that I'm doing the right thing, that I am supposed to be here. And then when Joan pulled him, it was tragic. She pulled him, and the other guys were like, oh, I don't know what she's gonna say to him, but like this feels like a good thing for him. Like, or like we're so excited for him. And then she dumped him. And then Pascal cried, and he said, that's my best friend.
Aw.
It was cute. But also last week Mark did go on the Chippendale date. He's a sexy firefighter. He taught his best friend Pascal how to do his own laundry. Because his maid got sent home. Like if you teach a man to fish and all that, you become his best friend. So, at the end of these past 2 weeks, Joan is down to her final 4. It is Jordan, who I feel like we haven't seen a lot of. Chalk. That's his name. Chalk. Not surprised by that. Guy, who is the doctor. Also not surprised by that. And Pascal, that I am kind of surprised by because he's odd.
Can't do his laundry.
Yeah. Like,
we can
red
now,
flags, red flags. Chalk is giving a little bit of red flags because he's like, I'm not, which like, I mean, he's giving like bachelor red flags. Like he's like, I'm not happy for anyone else going on a date because it should always be me. And when I'm on the date, I'm gonna talk to her the whole time, and no one else is gonna get to talk to her. And Guy was like, you should let other people talk to her, and he was like, no.
Oh,
I won't.
Okay.
So that's all. Right, that's not all. When Mark got sent home, I feel like they are really setting him up to be the next Golden Bachelor.
I bet they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Good choice.
Yeah. Basically, Bachelorette, Katie Maloney, just kidding, not really, but I needed a segue. Katie Maloney tells us that she has a boyfriend and she's in love. I told Billy she has a boyfriend. He said, yeah, what's your source? And I said, Katie Maloney. He said, that's a good source. So her new boyfriend is Sleeping with Sirens singer Nick Martin. She said, oh, I am fully embracing my emo.
Yeah. I am emo night. Every night is emo night.
Yeah. That's true.
Rachel Goes Rogue is coming to an end.
So sad. She hopes that it was positive for us, though.
It wasn't. That's why it's coming to an end, sister. Nobody wanted to listen to it. I was like, oh, we are significantly less famous than Raquel, and we have somehow managed to find it sustainable to continue.
Yeah, but we're not putting money into it like she.
Right. But she's poor. Rachel is poor. Okay. Jax Taylor said that Sandoval is the person who has been there for him the most since the start of his divorce. He said that Sandoval is his best friend. He checks in on him more than anybody, and that he loves him and will always love him no matter what he does. Which is crazy because they weren't even friends when the Valley started a year ago.
Yeah.
He hated him.
So, are they going to put him over on the Valley?
Yes. And last little tidbit, just for fun. Camila Cabello threw some shade at our girl, Sabrina Carpenter, when she performed her song Senorita, but, like, refused to sing the word taste. Like, the part where the word taste comes up in the song, she, like, holds the microphone out, and she's like, stupid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next up,
Taylor Swift. What are you doing?
Crazy stuff. First of all, I am still so shaken by that reel that she
Of her
posted.
walking?
Yes,
Oh.
just her like walking to this Glorilla Sexy Red song. Like first lyrics out the gate are like ass 8.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "Oh, okay, mama." But she's fully in her little Arthur outfit, looking great. Meredith is so famous
I was like,
because
where does Meredith stay during the
yeah,
concert?
yeah, but people are like, "That's so funny. She went out and got a cat that looked just like Andy Reid." First of all, she didn't go get this cat, but it is
Sure.
funny the way that her face does look just like angry Andy Reid. And I'm like, wait, this is hilarious. But I don't know. I was like, ma'am, what does this mean? But it also lined up 3 posts on her Instagram where she's wearing yellow. What does that mean? We haven't even considered yellow.
And then she wore Yellow's older sister.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep. She said, we are so back, Miami.
Mm-hmm.
We got a new Fearless dress, which is confusing me.
Mm-hmm.
The blue is very interesting.
They said 1989 TV.
Yeah, I can't figure out the shape of the blue.
Yeah, it's like looks kind of like a star.
Yeah, it's weird. It's very pretty. Then we got hilariously, there's like these videos of people being like, y'all are stupid. It's not going to be a different outfit. It's not going to be a different outfit. And they're like, it's a different outfit. So we finally got a new rep bodysuit.
Mm-hmm.
It has Karen on it. It has a full mouth of that snake. It looks
Mm-hmm.
good
It
too.
is, yeah. It's pretty. It's essentially the same bodysuit,
Yeah,
except the snake is gold, and this instead of it being like the top of the snake's head that's on her chest, it's like the side profile of the snake with its mouth open.
it looks higher quality
Well,
too.
also it looks like it's not shedding.
Sure. Also a new surprise song dress with some multicolors.
Yes.
Interesting.
You thought those surprise song dresses couldn't get any uglier.
I actually like it better,
Yeah. It's less
but
I think it's because like
not better than
it's
the
less
first ones.
obvious. Yeah, it's less obvious that it's a high low because there's also other
Yes.
things going on.
Yeah. Um People say that clips from the debut era were playing pre-show, so that's interesting. And then she's saying Tim McGraw mashed up with Timeless. Intrigue.
Mhm.
She did play Florida, featuring Florence again. So
Mhm.
the question is, will Florida always be on the set now? And will she do it without Florence ever?
Good question.
Or is Florence fully committed to the rest of this tour?
Mhm. A question or a thought I had. s- Some people were posting from 1989. She was wearing like the orange top and like a bluer green skirt, and then like one blue shoe and one gold shoe. And
Mm-hmm.
they're like, oh, like this like random
Blue
gold
and
shoe.
gold.
But from what I've seen of the orange outfit, I already thought the orange shoes looked kind of
I
light.
think they are. Yeah.
And so I think she was wearing an orange shoe.
I think it's the shoe that goes with the orange, yes. I
Yes.
think that it's gold, but it has been off the whole time to me. But
Yeah.
that is interesting because of the weird blue on the Fearless dress
Mhm.
and then the gold rep. Interesting. What does it mean? Blue and gold could just be debut. Blue and yellow. Blue and I don't know. There was a new Midnight's t-shirt dress. It didn't look that new or different to me, but I guess it
Yeah.
was. So great, awesome. And there were camera crews following her around. So do with all of that what you would like.
Please.
Any other Taylor Swift thoughts?
Um her boyfriend has blown me away in grotesquerie. Yeah, I think. Oh, I was gonna say she was seen out with a purse that had the letter R
And
on it
snakes.
and snakes around it, accompanied by the new Reputation outfit. At this point, if it's not, she is simply being mean.
And
That's my
she was
thought.
wearing a gold dress that night, right? Like that. It was like that velvety gold
Mm,
one.
yeah, it was like, I think it was like gold, like a goldish green,
Yeah.
like an antique gold kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, intrigue.
Mm-hmm.
All right. On to Salt Lake City. Poor Whitney. Maybe. Whitney's jewelry business is being called into question on the show, while her wellness business is being exposed on TikTok. So women who worked for her company Soul People are posting about their involvement, sharing that it is a multi-level marketing scheme. This woman who posted this is saying that everyone in that business is a scammer. It is also noted that the structure of Justin's last few jobs is pretty much the same. They called it like a direct sales, like social company. I don't really know, something like that. So, yeah, that's not great. Not a great look. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like looking at what Soul People does, and it's like some like skincare products, but then they also have like courses on wellness, and I'm okay, Jody Hildebrandt, like
Yeah, interesting.
pull it.
Yeah. We're going to talk about some rumors, some
It
nastiness.
would be nastiness.
I know. Apparently, Bravo execs have contacted Angela from Big Brother about potentially joining the cast of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, I guess, next season. We were on the phone yesterday talking about how silly our mom was to believe, how anyone was so silly to believe. But I'm starting to see it in more and more places, and like from like people who typically do know like reality TV information before everyone else. So like, do we believe it? Like, will we watch it?
This just seems so crazy to me. Mary's first point was like, Angela is not rich enough. Like
No.
this is not like her bag. Second, I just don't think that like there's enough CBS Big Brother crossover with Bravo to like warrant this. Like people are just like, "Oh man, that was so entertaining." Like I don't get it. I don't get it. I feel like it can't be true. Also, I just really hope it isn't, because Salt Lake City is like my favorite.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I would want to watch it with Angela.
She sucks. Like when Matt was like, I know you've been wondering if I'm gonna hug you, and she's like, I haven't. I
Yeah.
was like, I don't think he pulled that out of his ass. Like,
He
you
said, I've
must
been
have said
watching the
it.
live feed.
Right. Like, you must
So,
have said it. And
yeah.
like, she was still so ugly to him.
Which maybe makes her perfect for Bravo. But
Yeah.
like, could you imagine her? Like, she's not equipped to go up against these people.
Right.
Like, Meredith, who is like pulling records to come after her friends. Mary Cosby, who runs a cult and is like possibly an abuser. Lisa Barlow, who I was about to say, is apparently like feeding stories to the press. Like, she is not equipped for these people.
No.
Like, she will not make it.
It would be crazy.
Yeah, it would. I think it would be unethical for her. Like,
toxic. Is it immediately a toxic work environment?
Yeah. So, speaking of, we are entering, like we had seen in the preview, they were like, this just happened to us last year. Like, I can't believe one of us would be doing this. So, it seems like we're entering that storyline. And it's about Lisa. So, Whitney seems convinced. She seems to have proof and evidence that Lisa is feeding these stories about Whitney's business to one of these like blogger accounts.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we will see that play out. It is unfortunate though, because like now that we know the Soul People stuff that's happening on TikTok, it's a little harder to be like, oh, it's just a story.
Yeah.
And Whitney's businesses are totally legitimate.
This is all fine and normal.
And we haven't answered why like the picture is the same as the Alibaba picture. Like I understand.
No, yeah.
Like,
that like took me out. Like they were like, she was like, oh my god, like no, I don't like rip off designs from Alibaba. And then it was like, and
yeah, and I'm like, like it's
I
not a
will
story
say,
that needs to be
though,
fed. Like people can see that.
right. I will say though, I think like the chief complaint with those like fast fashion websites,
Yeah.
like Shein, Temu, Alibaba, is that they are ripping off other designs.
Sure.
So like my first thought was like, oh, that's shady, but then I was like, or is it like the other way around?
Sure.
Like, did they rip hers off and Meredith just happened to see it next? But like, wouldn't that be easy to be like,
Wouldn't Whitney just say that?
like,
Mine
oh
was
no,
out
mine was
before.
out first. Yeah.
Yeah. Seems weird. The only argument she seems to have is like, why are you talking about my business? It's none of your business, you know?
Yeah.
So Mary Cosby's son went into rehab this summer after testing positive for marijuana, cocaine, and fentanyl. She spoke about his substance use issues in a recent interview, saying that her wake-up call to all of this was when he started mentioning some suicidal thoughts. She said that without him, she has nothing to live for. And she said, that's my truth. But she says that he is now doing better. So I don't know. It is infuriating that I like Mary Cosby this season.
Yeah.
But I was also like saying to Billy, like, if it were just like her being scared of black men, like, yeah, that's bad, but it's like mockable. Like, it's just like, oh, silly Mary, like, you don't even realize, like, that's your son.
Right.
But it's like the very credible accusations against her church that make me like, this feels icky that she's on our TV. But she is hilarious this season.
She's always been hilarious, in my opinion. Is her husband, or not her husband, is her son still secretly married?
I don't know.
Was my question.
We've not heard that.
I need answers.
Additionally, about the Salt Lake City children, Whitney's daughter Bobby was in the ICU for complications with her asthma. Whitney was asking everyone for prayers, and
she was there for a while.
Yeah, it was quite a while. But she is now back home, so that is good news.
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm. Now,
yay.
Big Brother finale, Angela time, or so she thinks. So
Taylor said,
it's not about you anymore, Angela.
You're not in the house.
No. So
funny.
Julie kept telling us this unprecedented season, and I kept thinking, is it just the veto thing? Like, what makes it so? Yeah. Apparently, there's a lot. So here is what made this season of Big Brother unprecedented. This was the first season ever where in week 1, it was only men who were on the block. That's so crazy. Guaranteed that a man would go home. Second, Mary talked about this a little bit. We had what was dubbed Ainsley's Curse, where the first 6 evictees had voted for Ainsley not to come into the house. This next one, I must have missed this episode. Otev only lasted 1 round.
I saw your question marks and I was like, did Katie not know that Otev only lasted 1 round?
So did everyone else just bring the wrong name?
Yes. So the question,
Idiot!
It was so crazy, because like I kind of get why they were wrong. So the question was like, which house guest didn't compete, or what was it? It was like, which house guest couldn't compete in this competition. It was like the second HOH, I think. And um I guess it was which house guest that's still in the house wasn't able to compete or something. And everyone brought, like, I think Tucker, maybe, because he had been, I don't remember. Basically, it was about who didn't get to compete in something, and everyone brought somebody because they were like, oh, like, he was left out for whatever reason. And the answer was Chelsea because she was a microchip. And the microchips didn't get to play.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So Mackenzie is the only one who picked Chelsea.
Yeah.
And so she won. But also what's funny was that she was the last one up.
Wow.
I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, how did I miss that?
Yeah.
Obviously we all know that the veto was used 11 weeks in a row. This season also had the most non-unanimous votes. It was 9 weeks in a row that happened, which is so interesting because that's been the complaint, I think, in recent years, right? Is that like every eviction, they're like, well, gotta vote with the house. And it's like so annoying.
Yeah, Big Brother is so back, baby.
Yeah. This season, after jury, it was only women who won HOH competitions. Tucker is the first non-jury member who has ever won America's Favorite Player. I did not realize that.
No, yeah, that was crazy to me.
Yeah. So, lots of craziness.
Agreed. Also, another unprecedented thing that I know of, a house guest was related to a celebrity that neither the house guest nor the audience knew, because Chelsea is Niecy Nash's niece. And Niecy Nash, she was talking about it, and they're like, Chelsea's your niece. And she was like, yeah, she is. Like, I love her. But she was like, it was crazy because I did not know she had gone into the Big Brother house because it happened right around the time that I started filming Grotesquerie. And I was like on site, like in an Airbnb. I was kind of like doing my own thing. I had no idea what was going on. And so I didn't even know she was in the Big Brother house until I was done filming Grotesquerie. And I like realized like she was playing Big Brother, and I was like, how did that never get brought up in like diary room? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, crazy. That is crazy. As we get into the finale, it is no surprise that Chelsea and Mackenzie were the winners of the HOH comps over Cam. Also no surprise that ultimately Mackenzie won the 3-part HOH. They stuck with their words. Well, I mean, I guess Chelsea didn't have the option, but Mackenzie stuck with her word and took Chelsea to the end, saying that she is not afraid to sit next to a strong competitor. And I think that, like, yes, you can say, like, that was stupid to not take Cam, but, like, I also think that Mackenzie is the type of person that would, like, not want to win.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's no other option.
Yeah. I had put that further down that, like, a lot of people are saying, like, oh, like, Mackenzie made a $750,000 mistake by not taking Cam, but I feel like I could see it two ways. One, if she had taken Cam, I could see her saying, I took the biggest part of the competition out just now. But two, I don't think Mackenzie would have done that because I agree. I think that it would have felt like cheating almost in a way. Like, if you go up against Chelsea and you win, like, you feel like I truly deserve to win Big Brother.
Right.
And, like, if you went up against Cam, like, that your only choices.
Right. Mackenzie. I think that a lot when the person who wins the 3-part HOH, truthfully, when they take the person who didn't win any parts of the HOH, I always think that feels a little cheaty. Like, it's like, why don't we just take the 2 people that won the 2 parts? And,
no, I agree.
And then, like, because they're usually the best competitors.
Right.
But anyway, so Chelsea made a hell of an argument differentiating her game from Mackenzie's by telling us, you know, I won comps when I wanted to, not when I needed to. I didn't need to most of the time. I was never in like grave danger, and like that's on purpose. And I think that like both of those are good strategies. They're things that help people win in Big Brother history. You can either say, I've had my back against the wall. You can be a Taylor Hale, where you're like, I've had my back against the wall since week 1, and I turned it around and I pulled it out. And I think that's what Mackenzie was going for. But I think that there's also validity in saying, like, I situated my game to where my back wasn't ever against the wall. I played a hell of a game from day 1, and I made it because of that, you know?
Yeah.
Mackenzie's big sell is obviously that she is out here breaking records for most comp wins. And that she started out as a target and was able to still make it to the end, which are also good points.
Yeah.
Ultimately, Chelsea won the jury votes unanimously. After the jury spoke ad nauseum about how she did no jury management, which furthers my theory, which I've had for years now, that jury management doesn't actually matter.
Yeah.
Most people, it is going to be a minimal amount of people who are going to be in the jury, who love this game, who played in this game until jury, who are in the jury, who are going to vote based on like their bitterness.
Right.
Most people are not sitting there and being like, well, they didn't apologize to me, so like new jury management, I'm not voting for them. Most people can sit there and say like, oh, she was ruthless, she lied to me, she got me out of the house, and that's a good game. And so this whole talk about like jury management, it always feels like an empty threat. Like they just want to say to people like, well, if you get me out, like that's bad jury management. And it's like, nah, dude, you're going to end up voting for me anyway.
Right. If I get you out, I deserve your vote.
Right.
Yeah. Apparently there's a thing called like a perfect season, like perfect voting season. I didn't know that. Chelsea's the first woman to have one. Basically, it means that you have a unanimous win of Big Brother, but also that you were never voted for eviction. Not that like she was never on the block, but that like if she was on the block, no one ever voted
her out. Yeah.
So that's cool.
Very cool.
Post show rumors are circulating that Leah really hit it off with Angela's son. Okay.
No, not Quinn. Sorry, Quinn.
I know. Mackenzie took a page out of JoJo Siwa's book. She posted, "I'd like to thank Beyonce" as her IG caption for finale night. JoJo Siwa, that was embarrassing to watch. She went up to accept a dancing award and was like, I obviously have to thank Beyonce because otherwise she's gonna come kill all of us dancers.
Yeah.
I was like,
bad choice.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. All right. So now what you've all been waiting for, after we're an hour in, is the Love Is Blind deep dive. These men ain't shit. When I started, I was like, oh, it's DC. These all seem like career people. They're all a little older. They're not as hot. Like, maybe this will be like a adult-like season. Ha. Wrong. I've seen so many people online who chose to watch this season blind themselves.
I wish I had seen that before.
I know. They put a blanket over the TV and didn't remove it until the reveal. And that sounds so fun. What a missed opportunity. So, speaking of the reveals, Mary texted me claiming she has a talent for lookalikes. So I want Mary to give us her best cast lookalikes, other than, of course, that Nick D looks just like Travis Kelce.
No, better.
Better than Travis Kelce.
Better. Yes. So I would like to preface by saying that my talent is more like on the spot. It's a bit that I do. Like if I see someone who looks like a celebrity, I'm like, oh my God, Danny DeVito, I love your work. Like that kind of vibe. Like I'll see someone and be like, like lean over to my husband and be like, oh my god, it's Dennis Quaid, like he's here.
Mm-hmm.
So I put a lot of thought into this, which I don't normally do.
Mm-hmm.
So please agree with me. Um, Taylor is obviously Olivia Munn.
Yeah.
No disagreements there. We know it, but only Olivia Munn's new face.
Okay.
Taylor does not look like Olivia Munn's old face.
Mm.
Nick looks like the kid from Luck of the Irish.
Mm-hmm.
The Disney Channel original movie Luck of the Irish, which is perfect because that guy's a leprechaun.
Mm-hmm.
And
I sent
Nick
you
is
one
so
today that people think he looks like Gypsy Rose as well.
No, he doesn't. Leo looks like a combination of the two Italian TikTok husbands
Mm-hmm.
whose wives are like showing, like taking them to Olive Garden and stuff. He looks like both of them together.
Mm-hmm. True.
Brittany looks like either one of Heather Gay's blonde daughters.
Mm-hmm.
She fits right in. Hannah looks like a combination of all of the daughters from Big Rich, Texas. All of them.
Okay.
If she came on and she was like, when I was a teenager, I was on a show called Big Rich, Texas, I would have believed her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my god, yeah, I remember her. Monica, honestly, this is the one I'm most proud of, but it's probably the most out of the box, but I think it's the most spot on. Monica looks like a black young Sonia Morgan.
Yeah, she really does.
It's kind of freaky. Steven looks like doll young guy's face with Neil from Paranorman's hair and head shape.
Yeah.
Like his
the Paranorman one was good, I thought.
Yeah. But he has like doll young guy's facial features, like the blue eyes and like kind of puffy face, like cheeks. But Neil from Paranorman also.
Yeah.
Garrett looks like if Chris Evans never got famous.
Mm-hmm.
In the pods. In the show he does.
In the show.
But now he looks like if Nicholas Chavez had a 5 o'clock shadow.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah, very different since the glow up.
Nicholas Chavez from the Menendez Brothers show.
Yes.
Okay. Tyler looks like someone from The Bachelorette, and I can't pinpoint exactly who. My closest guess is Rodney.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm forgetting someone else that's closer. But I keep thinking Rodney. I agree with the sentiment that Alex looks like Lizzo.
Mm-hmm.
I also think her face kind of reminds me of Stacey Rush, who's one of the new Housewives of Potomac. But I do think she looks like Lizzo. I think it's because like Lizzo's face is rounder and Alex's is longer and Stacey's face is longer. Tim looks like Tim looks like it's not even that funny. Tim looks
it is. I saw Mary uploaded the pictures of who they look like. I haven't read this, but she uploaded the pictures into an album we share. And I saw this picture of Tim next to this person, and I screamed.
I think that Tim looks like Kennedy Davenport out of Drag.
Yeah.
But specifically, like, you know, when you first see the confessionals on Drag Race and you're like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah.
It's like when you first saw Kennedy Davenport out of drag in the confessional wearing like a backwards baseball cap and a flannel, and you were like, what? That's Tim.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Ashley looks like Issa Rae, but only as President Barbie.
Yeah.
Not any other
the hair
movie
is
she's in.
The perfect President Barbie curl.
Literally perfect.
Yeah.
Ramses looks like both the villain and the prince from Princess and the Frog.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
And
Naveen.
Yeah, this one took me the longest. I think Marissa looks like Antonio from Encanto. the 5-year-old. It's the hair and like she's got like thin lips. I don't Also unrelated, but while I'm unveiling my secret talent, I have always thought that Stassi looks like the blonde girl from The Incredibles that gets choked out. I like
Yeah.
every time people are like, "Oh, like next live action, like Incredibles," I'm like, "Please cast Stassi,
Stassi, it
cast
must
her as
be.
that blonde girl."
Yeah.
So yes, well, okay. So with Tim, I went back and forth for a while with Tim because I was like, I know that he looks like somebody's Drag Race confessional, but I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
figure out who. So I was looking like black Drag Race contestants out of drag.
Mm-hmm.
Season 11 confessional looks, like just like looking up like in every capacity I could, and then I saw Kennedy Davenport and I was like, okay, wait, yes, but it was like with her hair back in a bun, and I was like, but also no. And then I found the
Mm-hmm.
one with the cap, and I was like, oh, okay, that's it. That's the
Yeah.
one. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. All right. Good work.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for that. We're gonna head into the meat and potatoes.
Hmm.
So people are saying that Netflix gave us the whole Leo and Brittany saga. They had us watch them meet just for them to not go to Mexico. And people are saying, after all these seasons where we complain, like, oh, these people got together and didn't go to Mexico and we just never knew about them. Netflix is finally showing us why every year some people just do not make it.
They're like, please shut the fuck up. We know how to do our jobs.
Which they don't.
And
But
I respect it. Like, I'm like, yeah, you're right. I should keep
yeah,
my mouth shut.
Brittany was so freaking uncomfortable. She literally said, "This is the most awkward moment of my life," and he just proceed. Just
I think the thing that took me out, and I think this was like the thing that took me out amongst all of the things, was when he said, "Are you cold?" She said,
yeah,
"No," and he said,
no,
"Oh, I was gonna give you my jacket if you were cold." I was like,
yeah,
"You could have just said, oh, I'm a little chilly. Like, save yourself.
yeah,
You made it worse."
yeah. And then she's like, "You can still do that."
Hmm.
So, in the way that reality TV does, it seemed like these women were being shown as annoying and gripey and naggy, and then we find out that perhaps DC just has an awful selection of men, and these women might be traumatized. Because this is some of the worst men I've ever seen in my life. So Hannah and Nick D, they hate each other, okay? They just really hate each other. After the pods, there's no chemistry at all. Every single thing he does gives her the ick. Like,
No, literally, she's the second she saw him, she
yeah.
said, I don't like this man. And it has just spiraled out of control every moment since.
Yep, she tried to not lose that money. She said, "Fine, I'll make it to the altar with this man," and it didn't work. She couldn't handle it. Also, here's my thing. I'm not blind to the fact that she is mean to him, but
Mm-hmm.
am I kind of crazy because I love watching her hand his ass to him? This man went looking for pasta in the fridge after telling her that he cooks for himself all the time.
Like, did he think he was looking for like leftover pasta? Like, he's
She's
like,
like, "Boil the pasta," and he opens the fridge.
yeah,
Then he's
it
like, "What
was
do I?"
awful.
It was so bad. And I
No,
said to
but I have
Billy,
seen other people say the same thing, that like is as frustrating as it is to watch them together in
yeah,
general, that like Hannah's right about a lot of it.
yeah. Well, and I said, like, sure, is she a nut spending $300 on groceries every week and
For
vacuuming
one
every
person,
single day? Like, yeah, she's a little anal retentive. Got it. But also, like, could you imagine? Think for a moment that like you actually are in love, okay? You actually love this person. And then you don't know a lot about them because you
yeah,
don't live with them. So then you move in with them and you find out that your man does not know that pasta does not go in the fridge.
yeah.
And you're watching him play dumb and be like, no, I do cook, but I don't see the pasta. Tell me that you're not about to sit there and go, like when he says, what do I put it on? And she says, the temperature to boil water. And it's like, people want to say she's so mean, but this man doesn't know what temperature to put it on to boil water. She's having to do everything for him. It is crazy. He's also entirely socially inept. Watching him hang out with Hannah's friends, and she's like saying, like, could you do some stuff around the house? Could you make sure you show me respect? He's like, I'm willing to take on those risks and challenges. And her friends are like,
the challenge of showing respect.
What risk and what challenge? And he's like, no, what I'm saying is that's not hard. I'm willing to do that. And they're like, you're willing to do something that's not hard? Like, the way that he has these, like, robot answers programmed in his head, but he's, like, not able to move past them. Like, I'm like, buddy.
The conversation when she was like, you don't have responsibilities. And he was like, yes, I do. Like, I have a cat. And she's like, who feeds your cat? Mm-hmm. And he was like, my dad. And she's like, so then what are your responsibilities to the cat?
Yeah.
I was like,
And she's like, are we going to get your phone bill switched over? And he's like, why would I do that? If they're going to pay for it, why would I do that? And it's like, on the one hand, like, I that's like fine. But I also understand that, like, from Hannah's perspective, who has been on her own since she's 18 and paying for things since she's 18, that she's sitting in front of this 28-year-old man who she decided to give the benefit of the doubt when he said he lived with his parents. She thought, you know what? That doesn't define him. And then turns out, yes, it does.
Somehow one of the few things about him that didn't give her the ick.
Yeah. She thought, like, I'll give this a chance. He moved back in with his parents for whatever reason. No. Yeah. This man is a lives with my parents type of guy.
Yeah.
Like, through and through.
This is the entire plot of Failure to Launch.
Yeah.
I just think, like, he is such a 28-year-old man. Like,
yeah, sure.
I have
like, me a 28-year-old man.
But I mean, like, I think he is such a 28-year-old single man.
Sure.
Because, like, we're both married to 28-year-old men.
Yeah.
But, like,
we locked him down early enough.
Yeah. It's like the robot answers. Like, I feel like that's such like a, I'm 28. I don't have, like, this is what I say.
I think I'm a hotshot because I'm in real estate.
Yeah. Like, it just, like, everything he does, I'm like, okay, like, this he is the blueprint.
Yeah.
Of a 28-year-old single man.
Yeah.
And so I think that those things, like the way he talks to her family and her friends, is like almost like a routine at this point.
Right.
Of like, that's what you say to your girlfriend's family and friends.
Yeah. At the end of the day, thank God that they are not going to end up together.
Yeah.
She did teach us on TikTok how to boil water. So for every one of you that's about to marry or get together with a 28-year-old man, send him her way.
Yeah.
Thank you, girly.
Yeah. One thing that does piss me off about Hannah, though, is like how she like so obviously exaggerates her story.
Yeah.
Without
like baby,
being,
it's on TV.
Without her being like, okay, like, I'm exaggerating afterwards. So like, first in Mexico, that woman who said, "Don't be jealous." She said, "Don't be jealous." Hannah turned on the girls, all of the girls. She said that this woman said, "Oh, your girl is just some jealous little bitch."
Yeah.
It's not what she said. They were oh my God, she said that? And she was like, yes.
Yeah. I think she meant it more like literally, trust me, I don't want your man. I'm grown. Don't be jealous. Don't worry.
Yeah. Then in the most recent episode, when Nick meets Katie in person, which, first of all, Nick was like, I'm most excited to meet Katie. And Hannah's like, Nick, come meet Katie. No, I would have, we're going away. When Nick meets Katie in person, Katie tells Hannah he's more attractive in person. And like, there was like some, like confusion about this amongst viewers. Was she saying he's more attractive than she thought he would be, or that she has seen like his social media and he's more attractive than in his pictures? And then Hannah tells Monica that what Katie said was, I'm attracted to him, I'm into him.
Yeah, and then she tells Nick, like, she came up to me 4 different times in the night saying how hot you are.
Yeah.
And Nick's like,
that's not what happened. Like, she's not trying to steal your man.
Yeah.
I mean, she might be, but like, she didn't say it.
Yeah. Well, she let him down pretty well.
Yeah.
Now, on to Monica and Steven. First, she cannot stop telling him that he talks too much, which he's on board. He's like, I'm chatty girl. And she's like, yeah, you are. But also, like, that scene where she's like drunk and he's just talking and she's like, am I ever going to get a word in? I was like, this is incredible. Like, this is so good. She also continuously reminds him to buy her flowers. She says, you told me in the pods that you were going to get me flowers and you haven't. Also, they were still in Mexico.
Yeah.
In a resort where I don't know how easy that is. Okay. He basically replies like, yes, I understood you in the pods that it was like a metaphor for like doing romantic things for you and like thinking of you. And she's like, no, it was not a metaphor. I want flowers.
Right.
Specifically, I want flowers. I don't just want you to do things for me. I want you to get me flowers. And now this is the moment when I knew these people lead very different lives. He said, you know what I love about you? You just want flowers. So now it's no longer a metaphor. It's real. But you just want flowers. You don't want like a Kate Spade bag. Monica, who is a distinguished grown woman, says, well, if you were to get me a bag, it better not be Kate Spade. I would be expecting a YSL or a Louis Vuitton bag.
She said, what's YSL?
She said, I am not 23.
Mm-hmm.
I live in DC and I probably make 6 figures easy.
Yeah.
You are not going to buy me a Kate Spade bag.
I just bought a Kate Spade bag for our 3-year-old niece.
Yeah, that I can find in a mall.
Right.
No, sir.
He said, what's YSL? And she said, you know Louis Vuitton.
Yeah. Then, furthering this gap, Steven loses his job, which Monica is not concerned about. She's happily going to pick up the slack for a few days, thinks he can find a job pretty quickly, no worries. Until Steven goes to do the most riveting sleep test I've ever heard of.
Were you even at a sleep test?
He's at a sleep test, but is also allowed to get drunk, which is just not how that works.
Is that part of the sleep test, maybe?
No.
There was there was a class at CBU. It was like a toxicology class, and they had one class session where, like, anyone who was only the classmates who were 21 and up, they sat in the lab and got drunk and like did like toxicology, like breathalyzers and stuff, sure, like tested their behavior. So like, is it Probably a sleep test that we're thinking about, or is it like some kind of study?
Maybe, but I feel like we would know that. But like a sleep test would be figuring out why you're having trouble sleeping, and a lot of people drinking would alter the results.
Drinking, yeah, is different.
So while he's sleep testing, so not sleeping, and drunk,
they're like, wow, you're right, you don't sleep well.
He starts sexting with someone about apparently some very specific fetishes. When Monica confronts him about this, she becomes an absolute icon, telling him to, not only you're going to need to pay me back, you're going to do it right now. Pull your phone out and Venmo me right now for anything I've been paying for since you lost your job.
Okay. She did go on a podcast, and she said that the text she saw said, no one satisfies my kinks like you can. Obviously not to Monica. Mm-hmm. And she explained how she found out. Basically, that like everyone had been texting they have like a Love is Blind couples group chat, and they were texting about getting together, and she heard another message come through, and I guess like his phone was closer to her than her phone was, is kind of how she said it, and he was in the shower, and so she picked it up to
Just see what
check
they're doing.
like what the message said, and then she found the other messages as well. She also or people have also been bringing up that like maybe she should have known that he was a kinky dude because he did talk about it a lot. Like I mean like not like super kinky things, but he like like they'll be having a regular conversation and he's like in anal sex, like in the middle of the conversation he's like butt stuff, and like so people were like it, and like people were saying if you have like kinks and fetishes that you're interested in and your partner's not interested in them, it's okay to say like, hey, I don't think this relationship is exactly what I need to be satisfied, but like you have to like one bring that up to them, and two come to that decision together, not just decide like 2 weeks into knowing this person like, oh, she's probably not going to be into this, I'm not going to say anything about it, and then text someone who will be.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah. Through this, Taylor and Garrett, good boy, were there to support Monica, right in front of Steven. Taylor's like, this is disgusting and evil. And then Steven walks through. And he's like, cool, I get to pick up from here. But it was very cute watching them support her, which like is always hard because I feel like every season we're like, y'all are in the same building. Why are these fights going on and none of y'all are like there for each other or like walking down the hallway and saying, fuck this dude? But it seems like they were. Monica has since posted that the Venmo was for $400 and that in the note, Steven wrote, piece of shit tax. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Truthfully, she should have known the moment he called her a mutt.
Yeah.
That something was off with this dude.
Yeah. The flags were red. The lies were white.
Were they just?
No. No, they were not. Okay. Marissa and Ramses. We're gonna go in order. Okay. So when this starts, Ramses is a little hottie.
Yeah. We
so
stand.
Cute.
We're forced to stand.
He's giving bisexual art major DC progressive man, and he ends up with a former military girly, which is like question mark. But
which
whatever.
He knew.
Uh-huh.
When he asked her to marry him.
Yep. So I think I pictured this becoming a big conversation for them. But I'm really struggling with how it's going. Of course, it is okay. This is what I've said about every single one of these couples. It is okay if X is a deal breaker for you.
It is okay if kinks are a deal breaker for you.
Yep. It is okay if it is a deal breaker and like a fundamental thing for Ramses because he is anti-war, anti-military. Like, that's okay. But someone who knows that they are entirely anti-war, entirely anti-military, and you meet a girl who's in the military, or who was in the military for, I think, like 8 years, for like a long time, and whose other connection is a military man. Like, did you not think, like, I should inquire further? Right. You know?
Like, I also am morally opposed to the military.
Sure.
And I mean, like, okay, let me rephrase so that
maybe not quite as strongly as Ramses.
Right. I think that like there are certain things that our military does that are unnecessary.
Yeah.
And I think that there are other things that our military does that make sense. I also know that I personally would not date or marry someone who is or was in the military.
Right.
Mostly because the men I know who have been in the military are kind of gross. But I just think that would be like a thing that like that we would butt heads on certain beliefs. So like if I met someone and they were like, I was in the military for 8 years, I think I would be like, right. I don't know about this.
Or at the very least, you would say like, okay, looking back, like, how do you feel about your service? Would you do it again? would you ever want our kid or your kids to go into the service? Do you
Right.
like condone the military? It feels weird to me that
Right.
okay, not that this is a good example, but like Steven tells Monica, I voted for Donald Trump. And here's
Right.
why I didn't do it again.
Right.
So it's like, it's okay if like you're like, oh, well, I know this woman's values enough that she must not feel that way anymore. So you want to like give her a
Right.
chance. But like ask. Like, why are you not asking like
But she has also said that she dated a Trump supporter for 3 years.
yeah. And I think the fact that Ramses gets to spend time with Bowden should be like enough of a signifier to be like, well, she's into him and he's proud of his
Mhm.
service and he was in for a long time. So like, what does that mean?
Right.
So then they have this conversation where she is struggling to say, I think, what he wants her to say, which is
Right.
like, I absolutely hate the military. I regret going in because it was a
Mhm.
huge part of her life. It's a huge part of the lives
Mhm.
of people that she
Yeah.
loves.
The
So it's like,
conversation with her friends was
right,
like excruciating.
right. It's like, even if I regret it now, I don't want to be on national television saying these people are awful
Right.
people when like these are the people I love. And he is like, okay, you silly, silly girl. How did you not know what you were getting into when you were 18 years old? He literally says to her, baby, what did you think all the guns were for? When she says, I didn't know that I would be faced with the decision to press a button and send a missile into another ship or a plane. Like, I didn't know that when I joined. Like, that's not what I thought about. And he says, baby, what did you think the guns were for? It's the military.
Yeah. The
Ramses?
gross execution of that
Yeah.
thought.
But listen, I was ready to give this a pass. It was something I thought like they'll work on this off camera. They probably do have similar enough values. I think that like I will not share the specifics, but like when I started dating Billy, we were in high school and there were things that like growing up in rural Tennessee that he was like, I don't see the problem with that.
Mhm.
But I like know him enough to know like let in a non-manipulative way to know like his mind will change on that. We can talk
Yes.
about that. So I don't think it's inappropriate for Ramses to be like, well,
Billy had not seen Friends
yeah, or
when
been
we met him.
yeah, he had things to learn.
Yeah. He was very
So
like confined to where we lived.
yeah, so it's like I think it's okay for him to think like I know who she is as a person, I know her values. She can't actually still agree with this, but like she's struggling because it's been a part of her identity. Like I will be on her side while she figures it out. But then times two of the gaslighting, I'm going to get my way type of conversation is a pattern, Mr. Ramses.
Mhm.
So after he tells Marissa that he does not want children for 5 to 7 years, that he does not want children, he also tells her that he will not be wearing condoms because sex should be enjoyable for him too.
I hate the way he said it. Like he's like, "Do you
Yeah,
enjoy condom sex?" And she was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "I don't.
yeah.
And I
And
can't."
it's, yeah. And she's saying, like, I have had like bad reactions to birth control. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know what I would do or get on, or
Mhm.
like, it doesn't seem great for me at this age and time or whatever. And he's like, well, we will be having sex without condoms. And it just seems like maybe he didn't feel the need to ask her these questions in the pods because he is confident that he will just change her mind.
Yeah.
It seems like maybe this
Or
is
like
his
he
MO.
assumes he knows the answer already.
Right. He just is like manipulative enough that he knows like I will just talk her into it or then we
Mhm.
just don't work out. Who cares? But at least I got to have some condomless sex for a little while. So that was a true disappointment.
Yeah.
Really, very hard. In true Love is Blind fashion, where we ask who who dropped the ball on this, we are left off on a fight between Marissa and Rams that we have no context for. We literally have no idea what they're fighting about, other than he says, this is something that would affect our day-to-day lives. And then that's it. So, great.
Yeah. Her other option is not much better, apparently. So Marissa got to meet Bowden in person, and I think, like, kind of like a first in Love is Blind, she is not really impressed. She says
Billy thinks
that
he's so hot. Billy calls him the hot guy. Hey, I said, do you remember the guy from Ukraine? He said, the hot guy. And I said, oh.
Is
And
that
then
what we're calling him?
I saw Bowden, and I said, wait, I see why you think that.
Mm.
Y'all have the same
Right.
look.
Yeah. So again, I think for like probably the first time in Love is Blind, she saw him and she said, seeing Bowden made me feel very confident in my choice. Good for you. Which is probably for the best, because there are some sexual assault allegations coming out against Bowden. In 2023, a post was made about Bowden in an Are We Dating the Same Guy group on Facebook. I love those groups. I want to be in them, but I'm not dating anyone. But it wasn't like, are we dating the same guy? It was a woman saying, like, to look out for this guy, be aware of him. She warned other DC women about Bowden. She said that they had gone on a date, and then afterwards they were making out, and he, quote, took things aggressively past rough sex. And then she said that she was left crying after it was over. This has viewers once again questioning the integrity of the selection process of Love is Blind, saying that they put the women into a potentially dangerous situation, allowing Bowden onto the show, that, like, truthfully, they should have been able to find, because, like, people are pointing out, like, first of all, like, he does not have a common name. He has, like, a Ukrainian name in DC. But two, fans weren't able to cover this within 24 hours of the first set of episodes dropping. So, like, if fans were able to uncover it that quickly, why is your, like, research and, like, screening team not able to find that information?
Yeah. With Tim and Alex, do you feel like we're just missing so much?
Yes. I literally, I still have no idea what their conversation was about, the breakup, and then he ended it saying he never wants to see her again, and I was like,
drama. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Of course, we all agree with you, Tim, that you two should not be together. But I am very confused by this conversation. Once again, I say, it is perfectly fine if this girl napping frequently is a deal breaker for you, or an ick. Like, Mary,
it certainly gives my husband the ick.
Don't take offense to this, but, like, I could not be with, like, a tried and true napper. Like,
yeah. Sammy said that when I
get
napped,
so bored.
Sammy said that when I napped at y'all's apartment, you said she can really sleep.
Yeah, I did say that. I am not married to you, so it's great. But, like, I could not, and that's fine. That's fine, Tim. But as he was talking, I was like, oh fuck, like, she's gonna have some explaining to do. His parents came 10 hours, and then she went and took a nap, and, like, oh man, she did all this stuff. And then she starts talking, and she's like, I talked to your parents for 4 straight hours, and then I left and took a 1-hour nap. And I'm thinking, dang, Tim just gaslit me. I was seriously like, dang, this lady just got called out. And then she's like, that is, like, not what happened.
Yeah.
They drove 10 hours, so she's supposed to spend every waking moment with them? Like,
right.
She's filming. It's, like, emotionally taxing, I'm sure. She's with them for 4 hours. Like, let her take an hour-long nap. He has since posted a lot on Instagram. So I wrote this based on one thing he posted, and then he's posted a lot more because people are coming for him, I guess, just saying that he was like very, very harsh. But he posted and basically said, like, I have never had consistent fights with someone the way that I did with Alex. And I think that if the gender roles were reversed, people would have a bigger problem with Alex's behavior, which I do think is like true based on, here's the caveat, based on the story that he told us about what happened in Mexico. But it's always the story he tells. So I'm not sure there's a good way to spin this, that in Mexico, she called him outside of his name and she put her hands on him. Like, that's not good. You don't remember this? He said that he was talking and she physically put her hand on his mouth to stop him from talking.
I don't know.
So that was their like first big fight. And you know what? That's true. That if we heard that one of the men called her outside of her name and then put his hands on her mouth to stop her from talking, we'd be like, yeah, big problem. So I think that that's fair, but I also think like he shouldn't have been with her since Mexico then.
True.
Also, the mighty are falling in Ashley and Tyler. If all we knew was what we've seen on the show, how would you feel about your fiance having been a sperm donor to 3 children of people that he does know and people that he like stays in contact with?
I truly don't think I would care. And I think that people are going to be like, no, like, you wouldn't know until you're in that situation. But, like, I have thought about this, and, like, I think that if
would
it
you
were...
be mad he didn't tell you in the pods? Like, do you think...
Yes.
Okay.
I do think that should have been brought up before. But I also, like, personally, like, if he's a sperm donor for a lesbian couple who are raising these kids on their own, I wouldn't consider him a father.
Right.
Like, that's how, like, same-sex couples have kids a lot of the time. And, like, that couple are those kids' parents. Like, he's not a parent if it is how he's describing it. And so I don't think it would, like, bother me. It wouldn't, like, have an effect on, like, how, like, our day-to-day. It wouldn't have an effect on our relationship, or, like, how I thought. I would actually probably, like, be like, oh my god, like, selfless king.
That's so nice.
But I do think it's something he should have mentioned beforehand, and I also think it's something he shouldn't have straight up lied about when he did tell her.
Yeah. So people's complaint from like not telling her was like they had all these conversations about kids. He said he can't wait to be a father, and he just neglected to mention that he already is, or like has already done that or whatever. And it's like I don't think that he needed to like interject in those moments to be like, actually, I have children, because he doesn't really like have kids. If he just donated his sperm. Turns out though, that's not true either. So the mother of his children has had a lot to say online. He is absolutely involved in these children's lives. He told Ashley, they don't even know what I look like. I don't think. Meaning like they haven't even seen pictures of him, except that he literally does Christmas with them in matching pajamas. He takes them to pumpkin patches. They hang out. He's in their lives. So
he's their dad.
Well, so this is where I'm confused. Is that it does seem like this woman is gay and in a relationship with a woman. So I don't really know like exactly
is
what
he like dad? Is he their uncle?
Sure.
You know?
Was he with this woman, but now she's in a relationship with a woman? Like, I don't really know what's happened actually. And the kids look pretty old. Like they're not like 2. But what we do know for sure is that he is involved in their lives. They do absolutely know what he looks like because they know him. So that's not good.
Even I think if the person I was engaged to said like I was a sperm donor for a friend of mine, I do know those kids. They kind of think of me like an uncle or like a
Sure.
family friend, I still think I wouldn't care.
I don't.
But
Yeah, I don't think I would either.
it's like the lying, the straight up
Yeah.
lying about it that's
Yeah.
like crazy to me. That
Yeah.
would irritate me.
Right. Now on to Garrett and Taylor, the only couple that has
Finally at the
any
end.
hope of lasting. I am absolutely obsessed with Taylor. I have been since the
I
beginning.
love her.
I am
Her
obsessed with Garrett's
freckles.
glow up.
Yes.
Very
Hot.
cute. Yeah. Whoa. The conversation about his ex texting him truly felt like a fever dream. I she says to his face, I just want to be clear that if someone messages you from your past, you are shutting it down. You are replying and you are saying, I am engaged. I am not interested. You are not just liking the message. And he says, understood. I will do that in the future. This time, all I did was like it, but you're right. I should have replied. Then they walk inside in front of other people and he says, my ex message or this woman messaged me and I replied and I said, I'm engaged. I'm not interested. And Taylor's like, what is going on here? And first of all, she's like triggered because she's like, wait, he did reply. So then it's like, what's he hiding from her?
Right.
But I think that what she didn't say is that like, she's triggered because he's like acting like he did the thing she wanted him to do.
Right.
So why did I just stand outside of this building and yell at you if you did the thing you were supposed to do anyway?
Right.
Red flags everywhere. Honestly, it was kind of giving me serial killer vibes. Like, I was like, the way that this man is just like, and then I did that thing that you just said I should have done. And
Baby.
I do think that they just needed to have a conversation off camera.
Yeah.
I think that like he panicked. And I think it turned out okay. She did say that apparently the messages were friendlier than she would have liked. So I'm guessing
this is not like an ex from the pods, right?
No.
Like, okay.
I don't think so. She keeps saying like someone from your past.
Okay.
So then I don't even know if it's like an ex necessarily.
Okay.
But yeah, so I don't know. Like, then it sucks because it's like he must have said I liked it because he thought that was like a better thing to have done than actually replying.
Yeah.
But then when she said she wished he would have replied, he's like, oh wait, I can admit that I replied. Yeah. I'll just make it sound better than it actually was. And the fact that she's like, can I see your phone right now? And he's like, could we not do that right now?
Or he really did just like it and then he lied to everyone inside.
Well, but she said she read the messages and they were friendlier than she would have liked.
Okay.
So
she had already read them when he said that.
No, she said when they were on their way to San Diego afterwards, she was like, we're better now. I did read the messages and they're friendlier than I would have liked. So I'm not really 100% right now. Like I wanted to be going into meeting my parents, but like we're better.
Okay. People are thinking that Garrett is either definitely married or definitely not, which of course are the two options we have.
He could be not married, but in a happy relationship with someone else.
Yeah. They're thinking with his new look that it's either giving wifey effect or it's giving revenge dress.
Yeah.
And there's no telling. Yeah. But by the time we get to dress shopping, suit picking, there are 3 couples out of the 7 who left the pods together standing. And some of them on like one toe.
Yeah. I was gonna say, do you kind of think Ashley and Tyler and Ramses and Marissa might get married?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I definitely think Marissa and Ramses are gonna get married. Well, because unfortunately, I don't think she sees the things he's saying as red flags. I think she
dated a Trump supporter for 3 years.
She's kind of just like she is like kind of just like glossing over them. Like he said like the thing about condoms and she was like, okay. And then she seemed upset about it later, but then like it seemed like it was gonna be fine. And so like I don't think it's enough for her to be like, no. I do wonder if he might say no.
Yeah.
But
It's
I definitely think Garrett and Taylor are gonna get married. And then Ashley and Tyler, I think unless she
I think
finds
that
out
right.
that this that he knows those kids, I think they will.
Yeah, I think so too. All
Yep.
right. Well, thanks for hanging with us for a while.
Yeah. Sorry.
Billy's gonna kill us, but you all are welcome.
Billy, I almost pulled out a bonus episode, so be thankful.
Well, he doesn't have to edit those, but oh, I did want to end on this. Sorry, not done. By the time this comes out, early voting will have started in mostly everywhere.
It's already started in Tennessee.
Yeah, not here. So just y'all should go vote.
Yeah. I voted
you
today.
Good job. I went to an event where Andy Cohen was at, also telling you all to go vote. So let me just share that message here that Andy Cohen wants you to vote. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye. I almost left the